Hello, today we're looking at restringing a bass guitar. So I've done quite a few sort of fixing and sort of restringing videos, and I've not covered the bass yet. I do have a few bass students, but I don't play my bass guitar that much, so it kind of tends to get a bit dusty, but I still need to restring it. A common question I get asked is how regularly should you restring instruments like guitars and basses? I would say once a year is about right. If you play it a lot, then maybe more than that. And if you don't play it, like hands up, is the situation with a bass guitar like this. I've not played it that much for the last sort of year or two. You could probably leave it a little bit longer, but it does start sort of corroding a bit, and it does still kind of get dusty, and it is worth restringing sort of once a year. So let's do it. So first of all, what I need to do is to take the old strings off, and then I need to sort of give it a clean. You can see that the strings kind of go through the bridge, and then kind of they hook onto this kind of mechanism to keep it kind of up away from the fretboard, past the pickups, along the neck, and then it's been twizzled round and round this, which is probably the most complicated bit of a bass guitar sort of restringing. So first of all, if I just loosen it, when you get to a certain sort of looseness, you can kind of just sort of undo it like that. So you can see I can just take it off, and it's always worth just assessing when you're taking something apart how it actually looks when you take it apart. So you can see that this has sort of been twizzled round, and then a bit different, it's actually pushed into a hole, sort of in the middle there's a hole. So when I'm putting the new string on, I'll be pushing something in and then winding it around, which is slightly different to a guitar where you kind of go through the machine head and twizzle round. On the other end, you can see it just, I say just, pushes out. A little bit fiddly, trying to get the camera angle as well, but there we go. Okay, so you can see that I can kind of just take it out, pull it out. And there we have it, a little bit fiddly. You can see how much thicker that is from a guitar string. So yeah, I don't know, twice the thickness probably. Yeah, and that's your bass guitar string. So I'll get on with the other strings. Okay, so now I've got all of the strings off the bass guitar. You can see it's a little bit dusty probably, so I'm going to give it a wipe. I quite like fast fret, which is sort of a sort of an oily kind of I don't know what they call it, string cleaner and lubricant, which comes with a little cloth, and you can kind of use the cloth to sort of do your dusting as well. So just to make it a little bit cleaner. This is a little bit dirty. I have to admit, I got this bass from my neighbour, and I don't think I've ever restrung it. So that's in quite a few years. And I imagine a lot of you are going to have instruments like that have never been restrung at all. Very important to learn how to do it at some point, but obviously if you don't have the time to do it, you can take it to a guitar shop, like there's one on Cowley Road, the Music Box, who will do it for a fee. They'll restring your instruments for you. Or if you know someone who's a little bit more experienced, then yeah, do ask, because most people who've done it before will help, I would think. Yeah, as long as they don't get asked too much. And I know that I've restrung quite a lot of students' guitars. The main cost for bass guitar, obviously, is buying the new set of strings. These are more expensive than guitar strings, probably twice the price. I reckon these are about £10, whereas a normal set of guitar strings is about £5. But you can go right up the scale if you get more expensive ones. You could go up to £20 or even £30 for bass guitar strings. So they're a lot more expensive, but they should last a bit longer, I guess. So yeah, with the fast fret, you can kind of go over the fretboard and that sort of maintains it. This is a great thing to do when the strings are off. So, because you can really get into the grooves. I wouldn't tend to play up this high on a bass that often really. So there's not a lot of dirt up in this area, but it's basically sort of sweat. And you might find if you're doing this, there are certain places on the guitar that have a lot more dirt, and obviously spend a bit more time getting them clean, like down here for the bass. So yeah, fast fret does the job for me. This bass is actually quite clean already, so I think my neighbour obviously did maintain it before I got it, so it'll have a new set of strings on very soon. So that's a good thing. The other thing about strings is they lose their bright sound, the bright tone, as they get kind of covered in just dust and dirt and sweat. So obviously when you're playing an instrument, you should make sure your hands are fairly clean, or very clean if you can if you can manage it. So washing them and drying them, that'll stop your strings deteriorating as fast. But even if with the best will in the world, they will still deteriorate. So you do need to change your strings. You can't avoid it. Okay, that's looking pretty clean, dust free now. So let's put the new strings on. Okay, I'm not particularly knowledgeable about brands of string, but these are nickel wound bass strings. You can see the gauge. So the higher the number, the thicker the string. These are kind of like sold as regular, sort of medium, but you can get lighter ones or thicker ones. I think if you kind of like, yeah, just go for one that's sort of medium. Often the cheapest doesn't really, isn't not necessarily the best, and obviously the expensive ones, you might not tell the difference. So middle of the range is what I've gone for here, for me. So I do play my bass, but you wouldn't say I'm a massive bass player. So let's just restring one. So we've got, this is the low E, the thickest string, and if I just compare it to the old one, slightly different. Yeah, so these are more, there is a term for it, I should look it up, I'll put it in the comments, but they're a bit more kind of glossy, and these are a bit more sort of string abrasive. So these are, the ones I've taken off are more expensive strings, but needless to say, I do want to restring it, but these are a little bit more like guitar strings and a bit more kind of, you can see if I rub my finger on it, you can hear that, whereas with the old string, it's a little bit less like that. So I probably will need to replace these a little bit more than the old ones, but I thought it was time to give that a shot. So let's have a go putting it through. Okay, and then the fun bit. So on the machine head, I did watch a couple of other videos about bass guitar strings, and some of them said sort of take it from the machine head, take it kind of a little bit further and then clip it, which you could do. In fact, maybe I will do that. But also, having done it with a school bass guitar, I don't think it's entirely necessary. The reason you clip some of this excess off, let's just see, yeah, is to make it have less sort of winds on it. So with some pliers or metal cutters, there you go. Wasn't too difficult. But yeah, if you don't have that tool, the one, because I didn't have that tool, it's fine to get a bit more twizzles on. It's fine. I wouldn't say it's a massively important thing, but yeah, the string is generally longer. Is always longer than you need, so you could cut it. And let's just check which way round this goes. So what I want to do is you put it in the hole, and then, so I'm not showing you very well, go round and then sort of twist it round like so. Okay, maybe I can twist it again. When you get to a point where you can't twist, maybe hold it, and then the turning will do the job. So you can see it now. Okay. Okay, let's go on to another string. What I tend to do is sometimes when I'm doing this sort of activity is I'll thread all of the strings. So I might thread the 3 there and then do all the kind of fiddly tuning together. So in fact I'm going to do that. Okay, so the A string, so the sort of second thickest string. Let's just see if I can turn it around a little bit. Yeah, maybe a little bit long. So let's see if we can take a bit off. Yeah, I think if you do have some pliers, some wire cutters or whatever, that is a good thing to do just to make it a little bit neater. And like we say, we put it in, we go round like that. Round again, can't quite go round again, so then I just hold it and turn it. So I've got a bit more turning because it was almost I was almost able to kind of tuck it round twice. And then what I didn't do last time was just check it's on its little kind of saddle thing there, and then you can kind of have a little bit more tension so it sounds more like a string. There we go. Right, let's do the next one. Let's see if I can get you a better camera angle. So this is the D string. So the D string and the G string, so I always said the wrong string there, they don't have a lot really of excess past where we need to go, so I wouldn't cut them at all actually. So we're going in and then round once. Oh, I can manage it. Round twice. Yeah, there's a quite neat little thing here which acts a bit like my finger was, just holding it in place, so that's quite useful. I can use my finger as well anyway, but and then we turn it until it's got a bit of tension. I wouldn't worry too much at this point about it not being very neat, like because as it holds its tension, it will adjust a little bit. So you can sort that out in a minute. And the G string. So interestingly, the G string looks about the same kind of 45, maybe a little bit thicker than the E string on your guitar. If you have a guitar, sorry. So yeah, the last one. See, that doesn't have kind of much kind of extra at all, so definitely don't cut that one. And like I say, I did do this in a school with a school bass guitar the other day and didn't cut any of them because I didn't have the right tool, and it was fine. It just gives a bit more excess. Let's see if I can put that down there so you can see. So just turning it round. taking all that very loose tension first, and then it'll start tightening to get a bit more of a sound. So you can see what I'm doing with my fingers is just sort of holding it down. If I didn't do that, it would just twizzle off and sort of fall off. So it is a little bit technical. And then, as you can see here, it's just come off from its saddle a little bit. So you have to be aware of that and just sort of put it over. You can always loosen it again. There you go. So it's on its saddle. And then we're into tuning mode. Okay, tuning a bass guitar. So I've just restrung this bass guitar, very loose, and you can see it's not in tune at all. So I want to tune it up. I very much recommend these little clip-on tuners. There are a few different brands. I would say they're all pretty good nowadays. You can pick one up for £10 or something. It tends to have different sort of settings. So this one you can see goes through G for guitar, B for bass is what we need. You've got V for violin, you've got ukulele, and sometimes you have a C for chromatic. Does this one have a C actually? Maybe the first one's, oh yeah, sorry, there's a C at the front. So chromatic would tune any note, but why not? Let's stick it on B for bass because we're doing the bass guitar, and it should hopefully tell us if we play a string, we're not really close to it, roughly where we should be. The other way that I would say is the most important skill with tuning is using your ears. So you're using your ears to get kind of roughly near it, and maybe if you've got another instrument like a piano, you could play an E, or I've got a guitar that's already in tune. So I'll play me an E. And then try and get close to the note. That's close. I don't think it's correct. It definitely doesn't sound correct. But I think I'm going to go on to the other strings to get them roughly to tension. The reason to do that is it's all pulling on the neck. So let's try the next string. And let's see. So I'm more confident that that is actually near the tune. I don't think the B setting is working very well, so I'm going to put it on C instead. Ah, there we go. We have a bit of action on the tuner. The tuners should work just from vibration. So that is A. Let's go to the next one. D. Okay. You can also feel how loose the string is. So I would say now if I go, if I went back, it's too high. So I've gone above. So let's get the D first then, to E, A, D. Okay, so the tuner likes that a lot more. Let's just show you what the tuner is actually saying. So it's saying D, so we're saying C sharp, and this one particularly sort of changes colour, yeah, when it's in tune. So do use tuners, they're great, and tuning apps as well, but your ears and your actual knowledge of your instrument is the most important thing. So that is too high. I know that really from doing the other strings. Let's do G first. So G, I'll use the tuner as well. So F sharp and G. There we go. That was the easiest one. Let's put it back on the bass setting because I was using. There we go. So it just gives you less sort of options. So that's string 1 for G, string 2 for D, and then A, tell my students, you know, that they're kind of clever and stupid at the same time, really. So if it's saying the wrong thing, it hasn't picked it up or whatever. But once it knows what it's doing, that is really, really useful, because it can hear the frequency much better than my my ears, in fact. Or well, if you've got perfect pitch or something, you might be able to hear those kind of slight differences. So yeah, look for where it changes green. Yeah. Or it might just point to the middle, or it might be a kind of a dial. There's a few different makes of the tuner. And I can hear that is too high. So I don't know if my tuner's going to recognise. So actually I've gone past A. See, it's saying the wrong thing. It should say string 4. If I go down, there you go. It's got it now, string 4. So if you're in the wrong ballpark, is that almost there? If you're in the wrong ballpark, it really isn't that useful. So you need to get into the wrong ballpark. There we go. So we did it. So we're in tune. And the other thing to be aware of when you tune new strings is they will go out of tune. It's good to just play it a bit, maybe tune it again, then leave it for a couple of hours or whatever, or overnight, and then tune it again. And then it should settle. Bass guitars probably hold their tuning better than regular guitars, because the strings are a little bit more substantial, but you still will need to tune it again. The other thing is just to, you know, just twang the strings a little bit, pull them about, like you'd be playing for ages, and then tune it again. Okay, I hope you found that video useful. Do look at my site for other tuition and kind of repair videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.